Haribol, nobody came. What did you do?
Advertised it 2-3 days back.
What?
You should have advertised 2-3 days back that now internet is okay. Now we are going to start classes.
Forget all these things.
Oh,
they're not going to follow this week for all.
Pardon?
Those who are interested, they come. Those who are not interested, don't come. That's all. So we'll cancel it. That's all. We have plenty of things to do.
Yeah, for one person it's meaningless. But anyway, next time just release one message like this, na? That we are starting.
No, I'm not going to do that. And all my brothers, if they're interested. Actually, it's a simple thing. We only have Vaiṣṇava. Oh, somebody has come.
No, what you can do, you can tell our boy to do it, na? Our Ojasvi, he will do it, no problem. Isn't it? Ojasvi can do it, he can send out a message.
Okay.
Looks like there's one more person who has joined.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu, Haribol, I can hear you.
Okay, so then let's have the class.
Yeah.
Nice. Let's continue. I have actually no problem with even one person, but since you said we should have more than just one, that's all.
Yes, possible.
Okay, just wait. Okay, so this is, wait, let me open Vaiṣṇava ninda. Okay, Vaiṣṇava ninda. Okay, so this is an English translation of an excerpt of a Bengali article written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. It was published in parts. The original article was called Vaiṣṇava ninda also. And it was done in 1893 in his journal Sajjantoshini. Okay. This is important enough for us to have published it with the text, with the transliteration, synonyms translation. We also included some useful annotation. There are a number of verses from Chaitanya Charitamrita, etc., quoted in Vaiṣṇava ninda. And the themes in that article are also elucidated in other places. So we'll go through that. Introduction. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada about the process of pure bhakti, he paid special attention to protecting our devotional accomplishments from offenses unto the lotus feet of pure devotees. This is noted in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Jodi Vaishnava Paraj Uthe Hati Mata Upare ba Chinde Tar Sukhi Jai Pata. If the devotee commits an offense at the feet of a Vaishnava, while cultivating the creeper of devotion service in the material world, his offense is compared to a mad elephant that uproots the creeper and breaks it. In this way, the leaves of the creeper are dried up. Prabhupada's purport. One's devotional attitude increases in the association of a Vaishnava. Ader charana sevi bhakta sanevas janame janame hoy e yogi lash. By his personal example, Narottam Das Thakur stresses that a devotee must always remember to please his predecessor Acharya. The Goswamis are represented by one's spiritual master. One cannot be an Acharya, spiritual master, without strictly following strictly in the disciplined succession of the Acharya. One who is actually serious about advancing in devotion service should desire only to satisfy the previous Acharya. Echoi, Gosai, Jar, Muhitar, Ba. One should always think of oneself as a servant of the Acharyas. And thinking this, one should live in the society of Vaiṣṇava. However, if one thinks that he has become very mature and can live separate from the association of Vaishnavas and thus gives up all the regulative principles due to offending a Vaishnava, one's position becomes very dangerous. Offenses against the holy name are explained in Adi Leela chapter 8 verse 24. Giving up the regulative principles and living according to one's whim is compared to a mad elephant. So this is the mad elephant that we keep hearing about, which by force uproots the bhakti lata and breaks it into pieces. In this way, the bhakti lata means the creeper of bhakti. In this way, the bhakti lata shrivels up, withers up, it withers out. Such an offense is especially created when one disobeys the instructions of the spiritual master. This is called Guru Avagya. The devotee must therefore be very careful not to commit offenses against the spiritual master by disobeying his instructions. As soon as one is deviated from the instructions of the spiritual master, the uprooting of the bhaktilata begins and gradually all the leaves dry up. Ate mali jatno kori kore abaron. Aparad fastir joiche nahoy udgam. This is actually the next verse spoken by Lord Chaitanya. The gardener must defend the creeper by fencing it all around so that the powerful elephant of offenses may not enter. Purport. While the bhakti creeper is growing, the devotee must protect it by fencing it all around. The neophyte devotee must be protected by being surrounded by pure devotees. So, a neophyte always requires the help of a pure devotee. So there's no point if a neophyte takes help of other neophyte devotees. We need to be surrounded by pure devotees. In this way, he will not give the maddened elephant a chance to uproot his bhakti creeper. When one associates with non-devotees, the maddened elephant is set loose. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, Asat Sanga Tyage Vaishnavachar. The first business of a Vaishnava is to give the company of non-devotees. A so-called mature devotee, however, commits a great offense by giving up the company of pure devotees. The human being is a social animal. And if one gives up the society of pure devotees, he must associate with non-devotees, Asat Sangha. By contacting non-devotees and engaging in non-devotional activities, the so-called mature devotee will fall victim to the mad elephant offense. Whatever growth has taken place is quickly uprooted by such an offense. One should therefore be very careful to defend the creeper by fencing it in, that is, by following the regulative principles and associating with pure devotees. Even if one thinks that there are many pseudo-devotees or non-devotees in the Krishna consciousness society, still one should stick to the society. If one thinks the society's members are not pure devotees, one can keep direct company with the spiritual master. And if there is any doubt, one should consult the spiritual master. However, unless one follows the spiritual master's instructions concerning the regulative principles and chanting and hearing the holy name of the Lord, one cannot become a pure devotee. By one's mental concoctions, one falls down. By associating with non-devotees, one breaks the regulative principles and is thereby lost. In the Upadeshamrita of Srila Rupa Goswami, it is said, Atyahara prayasasya pradalpo niyamagraha ganahandasya laulyamcha shadbhir bhaktir vinashyati. One's devotional service is spoiled when he becomes too entangled in the following 6 activities: eating more than necessary, or collecting more funds than required, over-endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to attain, talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters, practicing the scriptural rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement, or rejecting the rules and regulations of the scriptures and working independently or whimsically, associating with worldly minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness, and being greedy for mundane achievements. That's end of quote. As such, all serious followers of Srila Rupa Goswami give equal importance to carrying out the top 5 elements of sadhana bhakti. Sadhu Sangha, Nama Kirtan, Bhagavad Shravan, Mathuravash, Trimurtir, Shraddhai Sevan. And to avoiding offenses to the Supreme Lord through Nāmāśraya, Seva-parād and Vaiṣṇava-parād. This book is an annotated translation, an essay, excerpted from an article by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur entitled Vaiṣṇava ninda, Criticism of Vaishnavas. He had published this article in 3 parts in his journal Sajjan Toshini in 1893, and it was later published by Sri Chaitanya Math in 2004 in Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur Prabandhavali. It's a collection of his essays, Bengali. This essay is noteworthy for its clear discussion of who a Vaishnava is in the context of Vaiṣṇava-parād and who isn't, and for lucidly explaining what Vaiṣṇava-parād is and what it isn't. I've used both of the above editions to settle on a reading of the text, and I've presented the original Bengali text in part 1 of this book. I've taken the liberty of dividing the article into numbered sections for easier comprehension. Part 2 of this book contains the transliteration, synonyms, and translation. Sometimes there is a negligible variance in the readings of the verses of Chaitanya Charitamrita as quoted by Thakur Bhaktivinoda and the BBT version of the same. Therefore, I have chosen to translate these verses. Similarly, a verse from the 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam has also been explained differently by Srila Bhaktivinoda. So I have translated it according to his explanation. Nevertheless, I have endeavored to work out these translations on the basis of Srila Prabhupada's word meanings. I request lovers of Srila Prabhupada's books to bear with me for this. However, they'll be pleased to note that I have presented all the verses quoted by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in the first chapter of part 3, with Srila Prabhupada's synonyms, translation, and purports. Most of the chapters of part 3 of this book are excerpts from the books of Srila Prabhupada. One small chapter contains an excerpt from Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's, typing mistake, Bhagavatam commentary, and another from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Chaitanya Shikshamrita. Each chapter has an introductory note explaining how it is connected to Srila Bhaktivinoda's essay. I sincerely hope that this publication will be pleasing to all pure followers of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, and Srila Prabhupada. I would like to personally take this opportunity to beg for forgiveness for any offense I may have committed to any of them, and seek their blessings upon us at Rupa Raghunathwani Publications to present more of Srila Bhaktivinoda's nectarian writings in this format and progress on the part of pure devotional service. Criticisms of this translation along with suggestions for its improvement are invited. My special thanks are to Param Shantim Prabhu for his beautiful cover painting, Shamrasi Prabhu for his cover design, and Purushottam Prasad Prabhu for insisting that this important article be translated and pushing me to publish it on time without delay. Okay, so then I think I presented the Bengali text, and then I'll only read the English translations. So this is Vaiṣṇava ninda, criticism of Vaishnavas, section 1. I should issue the PDF. Just 1 minute. File. Among all kinds of offenses a living entity can commit, there is no offense as terrible as Vaiṣṇava-parād. Therefore, it is essential to analyze according to Shastra what is referred to as Vaiṣṇava-parād. It is written in Skanda Purana as follows: those fools who offend Vaishnava great souls fall into the hell named Maharorava, with their forefathers, killing, criticizing, hating, not welcoming, becoming angry at, and not attaining delight, typing mistake, upon seeing Vaishnavas are the 6 causes of downfall. Those foolish persons who offend the Vaishnava great souls fall into the hell named Maharaurava along with their forefathers. For those who kill Vaishnavas, criticize them, hate them, don't welcome Vaishnavas upon seeing them, become angry or distressed at them, these 6 abominable activities become the causes for their downfall. Section 2. The following is written in the Srimad Bhagavatam. He who, upon hearing criticism of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or a person dedicated to him, does not go away from that place, also degrades himself, having fallen from the good results of his pious activities. He who does not abandon and go away from that place where there is criticism of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or the Vaishnavas, falls down from all of his accumulated piety and attains a lower destination. Section 3. Since there are such warnings about Vaishnava Aparad, it is absolutely essential to first of all identify Vaishnavas and establish which activities lead to Vaishnava Aparad. Section 4. Living entities can be divided into 4 kinds. These are the 4 kinds of living beings. Ordinary living beings who have accepted Vedic Dharma, living beings who are Brahmanas and almost Vaishnavas, and Vaishnava living beings. Notice that from the time of our first initiation, we are meant to avoid adharma. From the time of second initiation, we are meant to function on the Brahmanical platform. That gives some idea. Dharmika Jiva has been translated here as living beings who have accepted Vedic Dharma, or Dharma is that taught in the Vedas. That's the second level. Section 5. It is appropriate that respect be given to all living beings with the understanding that every living being is a residence of Sri Krishna. Krishna resides inside every living being. Therefore, every living being is meant to be respected. This is the first teaching of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya 20.25 states, Uttam Hoya Vaishnav Hobe Nirodhiman, Jive Soman Dibe Jani Krishna Yodhishtan. Although a Vaishnava is the most exalted person, he is prideless and gives all respect to everyone, knowing everyone to be the resting place of Krishna. Krishna Adhishtan. Every Jivatma is Krishna Adhishtan. Krishna resides in the living entity. It is essential that, so that is respect for Jiva Matra, or respect for every living entity. Then it is essential that some special respect, additional respect, be given to living beings among them who accept Vedic Dharma. So if I have taken up a vow that I will only engage my body, mind, words in activities within Vedic Dharma, and I will reject anything that is adharma, then that person belongs to the second category, and therefore he is meant to be given some additional respect. These are dharmika jivas. Initially, the first category is just simply jivas, any jivatma. But now we are talking about dharmika jivas. It is obligatory that honor be given to living beings who are Brahmanas and almost Vaishnavas. It's appropriate, it is essential, it is obligatory. Honor be given to living beings who are Brahmanas and almost Vaishnavas. These are Brahmanas by quality. Bhagavad Gita 18.42 states, Shamodamastapashaucham Shantirarjavamevacha Jnanam Vijnanam Astikyam Brahma Karma Svabhavajam. peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge, wisdom, and religiousness. These are the natural qualities by which the Brahmanas work. So these are Vaishnava Praya, almost Vaishnavas. Anishtha Vaishnavas. In fact, we will understand this later on. Anishtha Vaishnavas are always considered Vaishnava Praya, but they are very exalted, as we will see. It is prescribed that service be rendered unto the feet of Vaishnava living beings. It is prescribed. It is prescribed in the scripture. So, this is appropriate. This is essential. This is obligatory. But this is prescribed. So, each higher level requires a higher level of respect. Just respect. Here you have some special respect. Here you have honor. And here you have service. You can see the original Bengali. Adar, ettu vishesh adar, samman, charan bhajan, serve the feet. Section 6. By not rendering respect to living beings, special respect to living beings who have accepted Vedic Dharma, and honor to living beings who are Brahmanas and almost Vaishnavas, one attains sinful reaction. So for level 1, for category 1, we need to give level 1 respect, let me say like that. First level of respect is just general respect. For category 2, we need to give level 2 respect, special respect. For level 3, for category 3, level 3 respect, honor. Here also we cannot mix up. For category 1, if instead of this we disrespect, disrespect I will simply say is 0 respect. So instead of level 1 respect, we give 0 respect. Then that is sinful. One attains sinful reactions. That's a sinful activity. Similarly, somebody has accepted Vedic Dharma, so he is fit to receive level 2 respect. And if he is given 0 respect, or if he is given level 1 respect, that is also wrong. That will produce sinful reactions. Similarly, for living beings who are Brahmanas and almost Vaishnavas, if they are given 0 respect, or level 1 respect, or even level 2 respect, that also will produce sinful reactions. When one disrespects and dishonors Vaishnava living beings, one attains offensive reactions. I use sinful reactions to denote reactions to sins one has committed, and offensive reactions to denote reactions to offenses one has committed. When I commit a sinful activity, that activity will generate a reaction which will lead to misery. I engage in a pious activity, I attain piety, which is actually a pious reaction. Similarly, when I engage in offenses, then I attain reactions to those offenses. Sinful reactions are destroyed through ordinary procedures of atonement. But offensive reactions do not go away easily. Sinful reactions pertain to one's gross and subtle bodies. Offensive reactions pertain to the soul of the living being and are special causes or fall down. The distinction between offenses and sins are described in further detail in the Chaitanya Shikshamrita. The idea is that activities which are forbidden are given the general title of adharma. Yeah. Yeah. Veda pranihito dharma. Yadharmastad viparya. Vedo Narayana Sakshat Swayambhu Ishushuna. The first two lines are important. Veda pranihito dharma. Yadharmastad viparya. Veda pranihitaha. Dharma. Religious principles, dharma, are what are prescribed by the four Vedas, Sam and Yajur, Rig and Atharva. Irreligious principles or adharma are the opposite of that, meaning that irreligious principles are those which are not supported by Vedic injunctions. That which is prescribed in the Vedas constitutes dharma, the religious principles, and the opposite of that is irreligion. So this is a general understanding, but in Chaitanya Shikshamrita, Bhaktivinoda Thakur goes further and he points out that when we engage in forbidden activities, and adharma is generally known as papa, sinful activity. But when we engage in forbidden activities which have a direct relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead or those who are dear to Him, then those sinful activities attain the name of offenses, aparadha. So papa in general, even though technically speaking, papa is any forbidden act, any activity forbidden in Shastra, papa generally refers to forbidden activities other than offense. And then we have offenses. It is just like, this is called Kuru Pandava Nyaya. The Pandavas and the Kauravas, both of them are actually followers of Kuru. But nevertheless, because the 5 sons of Pandu are exceptional in several ways, they are subgrouped. They are given a different label. They are called Pandavas. And all other followers of Kuru are called the Kauravas. So like that, technically speaking, offenses are also sins. But it is the convention that sin refers to forbidden activities other than offenses. Offenses specifically are forbidden activities which are having a direct bearing on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When one directly opposes Him, that's an offense. So it is the worst type of sinful activity. An offense is the worst type of sinful activity. Just as all activities prescribed in the scriptures are called dharma. And one might say that these are all pious activities. In that case, then what about Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma Nivedanam? That is also prescribed in Shastra. Is that also not just dharma or pious activity? In the broad sense, yes, but the general convention is just as offenses are a subgroup within the papa category, similarly, Bhagavata Dharma or Navavidha Bhakti or direct devotion service unto the Supreme Lord, that is a subgroup within Vedic Dharma. So anyway, sinful activities produce reactions which degrade one's subtle bodies and gross bodies. One subtle body and one gross body. But the reactions to offenses, they cause degradation of the soul, meaning that the soul's inclination to serve Lord Krishna, that itself is affected. Therefore, there is a special apprehension regarding offenses in those who want to engage in devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Those who want to engage in devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead are especially frightened of committing offenses. Section 7. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, through the following 3 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, Vaishnavas have been categorically identified as Vaishnavas, better Vaishnavas, and best Vaishnavas. Section 8. The Kanishta Vaishnava is as follows. He who faithfully engages in worship of Lord Hari in his deity form, but does not honor his devotees and others, is considered a materialistic devotee. He who worships Lord Hari in his deity form with faith obtained through family tradition, but who does not worship Lord Hari's devotees, is a Kanishta Vaishnava. That is, he has merely entered into the philosophy of devotional service. He has just entered into the truth of devotional service, into the principle of devotional service. The difference between faith obtained through such tradition and faith in Shastra is as follows. Faith obtained through such tradition is only generated by worldly education, theoretical education, academic study. In faith in Shastra, respect for Vaishnavas is generated on account of deep faith in scriptural statements and on the authority of those statements. As soon as such faith in Shastra awakens, the living being becomes a Madhyama Adhikari Vaishnava. As long as it does not arise, the sadhaka's eligibility to engage in the duties of Varnashrama Dharma is not destroyed. Sriman Mahaprabhu has referred to such a person as follows. They are not pure Vaishnavas. However, they are almost like Vaishnavas. So regarding this faith obtained through tradition, it is faith obtained through a non-scriptural tradition. In other words, a person on the platform of Kanishta Bhakti, who is referred to as a Kanishta Adhikari, his faith is contaminated. At the very least, we can say his faith is contaminated. A Kanishta Vaishnava, that is, a living being who is almost a Vaishnava, can become a pure Vaishnava as soon as he attains the association of genuine sadhus. Section 9. The Madhyama Vaishnava is as follows. He who exhibits love, friendship, mercy, and negligence in relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, persons who have taken fully to Krishna consciousness, ignorant persons, and persons envious of Krishna respectively, is a second-class devotee. Notice that there are 4 categories. You have the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that's category 1 here. Persons who have taken fully to Krishna consciousness, that's category 2. Ignorant persons, category 3. Persons envious of Krishna, category 4. And then corresponding to each of this, there is love, friendship, mercy, and negligence. Love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Friendship for persons who have taken fully to Krishna consciousness. Mercy upon ignorant persons. And negligence pertaining to persons envious of Krishna. This is the second-class devotee. Actually speaking, in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, we come across (2.1.276). Mr. Sindhu, he's talking about different types of people who are qualified to experience bhakti rasa. So then he says, Utpanna rataya samyam nairvignyam anupagatah Krishna sakshat krito yogya sadhaka pariketita. So that he says that there are two types of persons who are capable of relishing bhakti rasa, the practicing devotees and the perfect devotees. So this is Rupa Goswami. I mean, this verse is Rupa Goswami, whereas this portion is straight taken from Prabhupada's Nectar of Devotion. The devotees of Krishna can be classified into two groups: those who are cultivating devotion service in order to enter into the transcendental kingdom, and those who are already in the perfection stage of devotion service. So, regarding the first category, practicing, they are those who have developed rati for Krishna. Rati means bhava bhakti, and are qualified to see him directly but are not fully free from impediments. They are the ones referred to as the practicing devotees who are fit to experience bhakti rasa. Lower than this, there is a stage called sadhana bhakti. We have sadhana bhakti, bhava bhakti, prema bhakti. So, from Rupa Goswami's perspective, those who are on bhava bhakti only are fit. They are fit to experience bhakti rasa. Lower, if you are not even on that platform, if you are from Shraddha to Asakti, then because one has not attained Rati or Bhava, is not fit to experience Bhava Bhakti. A person who has attained the stage of attraction for Krishna and who is not freed from the material empires, but who has qualified himself to enter into the kingdom of God, is called sadhaka. Sadhaka means one who is cultivating devotion in Krishna consciousness. And then he quotes this verse, same verse that we are seeing here. This verse, show you the verse. Ishvare tadadineshu balisheshu tushyasu cha Brahmaitri kripapeksha yakaroti samadhyamaha. Same verse. An intermediate or second class devotee called a Madhyamadhikari offers his love to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is a sincere friend to all the devotees of the Lord, shows mercy to ignorant people who are innocent, and disregards those who are envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nectar of Devotion. The description of such a devotee is found in the 11th canto, 2nd chapter, verse 46 of Srimad Bhagavatam. It is said there that a person who has unflinching faith in and love for the personality of Godhead, who is in friendship with the devotees of Krishna, and who is very merciful to the ignorant, raising them to the standard of devotion service, and who is uninterested in non-devotees, is considered to be situated in the position of cultivating devotional service. So that gives us the understanding that the Madhyamadhikari is a very exalted person. He is on the platform of Bhava Bhakti. And as we know from other sources, the person on the platform of Bhava Bhakti is able to see Krishna directly. His spiritual eyes have begun to function. He is able to see Krishna. So this also clarifies many things, because in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rupa Goswami presents 3 stages overall: sadhana, bhava, prema. So if the Madhyama if the Madhyama Vaishnava is on the platform of bhava, it obviously means that the Uttama Vaishnava is on the platform of prema, and the Kanishta Vaishnava is on the platform of sadhana. That means from Shraddha to Asakti. Okay, let's resume. He who loves the Lord befriends the Vaishnava.
One question here. Why it is said negligence in personality of Godhead? Why negligence?
Where does it say negligence in the personality?
The previous, little before. Yeah, negligence in relationship.
Is one by one, respectively.
Yeah, but what is why negligence in relationship? With personality of God.
No. Respectively. Love.
No, that I understood, but negligence, this standalone, what does it mean? Negligence in relationship with Supreme Personality of God.
No, you're missing. It's respectively. Love in relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Friendship in relationship with persons who have taken.
Okay.
Mercy in relationship.
Maybe there should have been a comma. I got confused.
No, we cannot put a comma there.
No, here after relationship, maybe.
No, because you cannot begin like that. It probably requires a footnote. I did not put a footnote because Bhaktivinoda himself clarifies. He who loves the Lord, see, love is for the Lord. Befriends the Vaishnavas, friendship for the Vaishnavas. Is compassionate upon the innocent, compassion for the innocent. The innocent means, that is, living beings who are almost Vaishnavas and inexperienced in the philosophy of devotion service, and who neglects persons who hate the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So neglect is for those who hate the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or they also hate the Vaishnavas. One who neglects persons who hate the Supreme Personality of Godhead and who hate the Vaishnavas. That is, corresponding to the situation, who exhibits indifference or tolerance upon them, or who abandons their association. So according to how demoniac they are, either he is indifferent, or he is tolerant, or he abandons their association. Such a person is a Madhyama Vaishnava. Considering the hateful to also be innocent, they also bestow appropriate mercy upon them. Only Madhyama Vaishnavas possess the eligibility to engage in Vaishnava Seva. Because Kanishta Vaishnavas do not engage in it, they can be called almost Vaishnavas, but they cannot be called Vaishnavas in the strict sense of the term. So the Madhyama Vaishnavas, they consider that those who hate the Supreme Lord, they're also innocent in a certain manner. So they bestow appropriate mercy. We will see that later on when this verse is further explicated. We will come across an explanation given by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. The best type of mercy one can give to those who are hateful of Krishna or Krishna's perfect pure devotees is to neglect them. This is the greatest mercy that can be shown to them, actually. Section 10. The Uttama Vaishnava is described as follows. The person who sees the ability of all objects to be engaged in the service of the Supreme Spirit Soul and all beings in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the basic principle of all existence, is the best of the devotees of the Supreme Lord. He who sees the appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead dearest to his self in all creatures, and he who experiences all those creatures in the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead manifested in his consciousness. That is, he sees the world as Vaishnava in the sense that it is sheltered by him, is an Uttama Vaishnava. Such a Vaishnava does not differentiate between Vaishnava and non-Vaishnava. Since the entire world is sheltered by Vishnu and is Vaishnava in that sense, there is none who is unsheltered by Vishnu, and so non-Vaishnava in that sense. Since everybody is sheltered by Lord Vishnu, there is nobody who is not sheltered by him. So there is no non-Vaishnava in that sense. This is realized by someone who has come to the Uttama platform. See, one thing we should keep in mind, in the entire Vedic tradition, theoretical knowledge is not given that much of importance. Understanding is given importance, and realization is the one that is taken seriously. So it is not enough simply to just have some theoretical knowledge or even appropriate understanding. It's the realization that matters, and realization will always manifest in the form of appropriate level of internal detachment and external renunciation, and engagement in certain activities which are directly connected to Krishna and so on. Section 11. It is thus concluded.
Can I ask one question?
Yes, bro.
These Uttama Vaishnavas, how do they treat those who are hateful of Lord then? I mean,
we will
because
see
it's
that.
a negligence,
We will see that.
best
We will
way
see
to
that.
treat them.
We will see that. We will see that.
Okay.
It will come. It will come. It will come later on. When when the verse itself is, the verses themselves are brought in, then we'll see. It is thus concluded that those on the Kanishta platform who have attained scriptural faith and have become eligible to serve Vaishnava, as long as they do not attain the other characteristics of Madhyama Vaishnavas or Kanishta Vaishnavas, that is, quote unquote, Vaishnavas. Madhyama Vaishnavas are better Vaishnavas. Uttama Vaishnavas are best Vaishnavas. See, the Madhyama Vaishnavas also have scriptural faith. The Uttama Vaishnavas also have scriptural faith. So each earlier appropriate feature that is noticed in a Vaishnava is found at the next level also. Section 12. I will now analyze how Mahaprabhu has distinguished these three levels of Vaishnavas for our sake. Therefore, he in whose mouth one holy name of Krishna has appeared is a Vaishnava. Offer him respect. He in whose mouth the holy name of Lord Krishna appears incessantly is an excellent Vaishnava. Worship his lotus feet. You should know him, by seeing whom the holy name of Krishna automatically awakens in one's mouth to be the chief of the Vaishnava. So there are three grades here: Vaishnava, better Vaishnava, best Vaishnava. Dividing by grades, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu described the symptoms of Vaishnavas as the ordinary Vaishnava, the positive platform, the better Vaishnava, the comparative platform, and the best Vaishnava, the superlative platform. Where does this come? This comes when the residents of Kulingram ask Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is a Vaishnava? Now that itself is very significant, because in Kulingram, everybody would chant Krishna's holy name. Lord Chaitanya mentions that even those who herd the pigs in that village, they would chant Krishna's name. So if everybody who is just externally chanting Krishna's name is a Vaishnava, then there would be no reason for them to even ask the question, who is the Vaishnava? So they are probing into this mystery of who is the Vaishnava that is described in Shastra as a Vaishnava, the one who is so great. In different ways, there are scriptural descriptions of Vaishnava. Who is that? Therefore, Lord Chaitanya is explaining. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur is explaining even further. In the teachings of Sriman Mahaprabhu, mere utterance of Krishna's holy name is the characteristic of a Vaishnava. On the Kanishta platform, those who have been shown to be almost Vaishnava, that is, reflections of Vaishnava, utter only a reflection of the holy name. They do not utter the pure holy name. He who can utter the pure holy name once is a pure Vaishnava. He who utters the pure holy name uninterruptedly is a better Vaishnava. So, those who utter the pure holy name interruptedly is accepted as the Kanishta Vaishnava or the Vaishnava. And he who can utter the pure holy name uninterruptedly is accepted as a better Vaishnava, superior Vaishnava, Madhyama Vaishnava. What does it mean to say he who utters the pure holy name uninterruptedly? That means he not only chants the holy name uninterruptedly, his engagement in devotional service to Krishna is also pure uninterruptedly. We know from, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu again. If we look at Srila Rupa Goswami's definition of pure devotional service, Anyabhilashita Shunyam Jnanakarma Jnanavritam Anukulyena Krishnanushilavam Bhaktiruttama. The highest bhakti or Uttama bhakti is defined as continuous service to Krishna with a pleasing attitude. It should be devoid of desires other than to please the Lord, and unobstructed by impersonal jnana, the materialistic rituals of karma, or other unfavorable acts. Okay. So here, bhakti itself is defined here, this much. Anukulyena Krishnānushīlanam is what is known as bhakti. But if you want to know what is Uttama Bhakti, then you have to consider the entire verse. Because what is pure is set out in the first half of this verse. That is pure devotional service. Just by itself, bhakti is continuous service to Krishna with an attitude that is pleasing to Krishna. That is bhakti by itself. But for it to be of the highest type of bhakti, it should also be devoid of desires other than the desire to please the Lord. It should not be covered over by impersonalistic engagement in jnana or materialistic engagement in karma, etc. Because they obstruct or they cover up, they eclipse bhakti and they make it impure. It is still bhakti, but it is impure. So, coming back to this, one who is a better Vaishnava, he not only utters the holy name uninterruptedly, but he is also pure uninterruptedly, which indicates that his engagement in devotional service is pure uninterruptedly. Whereas, when our engagement in devotional service is uninterrupted, but it is not uninterruptedly pure, then naturally our chanting of the holy name is not pure uninterruptedly, certainly. So therefore, this person is simply considered Vaishnava, whereas this person is considered a better Vaishnava. This is a Madhyama Vaishnava. He who, he by merely seeing whom Krishna's holy name appears in one's mouth is the best Vaishnava. This is an Uttama Vaishnava. In an article entitled Vaishnava Seva, a different article in Sajjan Toshini, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has clarified the above thus. I will read out an English translation of this Bengali passage. If one chants one holy name of Krishna, he attains the Vaishnava platform. What kind of holy name that is written in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Begin chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, and when your chanting is almost pure, all your sinful reactions will go away. After you chant perfectly, you will get shelter at the lotus feet of. It should be understood in this context that as long as there are offenses to the holy names, one does not chant the holy names, one is merely chanting the reflection of the holy names. As a result of the chanting of the reflection of the holy names, all sinful reactions are destroyed. When sinful reactions are destroyed, the mind becomes spotless. When the mind becomes spotless, there is no opportunity to commit offenses unto the holy names. When one has no opportunity to commit offenses unto the holy names, one chants the holy names without offenses. Even when one occasionally chants the holy name without offenses, he is a Vaishnava. When he chants the holy names without offenses, uninterruptedly, he is a better Vaishnava. When the pleasure potency of the Lord is manifested, he is a best Vaishnava. In other words, when one chants the holy name in such a manner that the effect of pure sadhana bhakti is manifested, then he is accepted as a genuine Kanishta Vaishnava. Okay, let me point out. What that means. Kleshagni, Subhada, Mokshal Laghuta Krit, Sudurlabha, Sandrananda Visheshatma, Shri Krishna Karshani Chasa. The unique characteristics of Uttama Bhakti are that it destroys suffering, bestows auspiciousness, makes liberation insignificant, is rarely attained, is composed of special concentrated bliss, and applies. The 6 features of Uttama Bhakti. first class devotional service. Okay. 6 features. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. This is how Prabhupada explains. He states that there are 6 characteristics of pure devotion service, which are as follows. Pure devotion service brings immediate relief from all material distress. Pure devotion service is the beginning of all auspiciousness. Pure devotion service automatically puts one example into pleasure. Pure devotion service is rarely achieved. Those in pure devotion service deride even the conception of liberation. Pure devotion service is the only means to attract Krishna. So 6 features. Now Rupa Goswami comes back to this a little later after describing all of them. Agrato Vakshavanaya Sriddha Bhakti Anukrama Dvisha Shadvit Padairetan Mahatyam Urukititam. The 3 types of bhakti will be explained one after another in the following chapters. That means this is Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu's part 1. Within that, this is the first chapter. Then there will be a 2nd chapter, 3rd chapter, 4th chapter. So the 2nd chapter is about sadhana bhakti. The 3rd chapter will be about bhava bhakti. The 4th chapter will be about prema bhakti. All inside the first part. Parts 2, 3, 4 of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, or major parts, major divisions. They will deal with the experience of a person who has attained prema bhakti. Okay. So, thus the greatness of bhakti has been uniquely glorified in 6 words of 3 pillars. In other words, these 6 features are there. There are 6 features here. Kleshagni, destroyer of suffering, it destroys suffering. Shubhada, the giver of auspiciousness, it bestows auspiciousness. Moksha Laghuta Krit, it makes liberation insignificant. Sudurlabha, it is very rarely attained. Sandrananda Visheshatma, it is composed of special concentrated bliss. It is Sri Krishna Karshani, it attracts Krishna. 6 features. Now, sadhana bhakti will manifest the first 2 features. Bhava bhakti will manifest the first 4 features. Prema bhakti will manifest all the 6 features. So, while on the stage of sadhana bhakti as a Kanishta Vaishnava, my chanting of the holy name is actually my chanting of the reflection of the holy name, because only the first 2 symptoms of Uttama Bhakti will be manifested. When I come to the 2nd platform, then the first 4 qualities will be manifested. When I come to the final platform, all the 6 qualities will be manifested. Okay, we'll stop with that. Let me put a note.
How can we get a copy of this?
Okay, but I just uploaded it.
Oh, okay, okay.
I just uploaded it to Nāmāśraya-bhakti.
Okay. So this entire, it's like a supplement, is it?
Which one?
This particular one from Sajjan Toshni?
The entire book I uploaded.
Oh, it's a book, okay.
My
It's
book, I
available
wrote,
even
I
here.
published it.
It's available here also for purchase in Sankirtan Bhavan or something?
Yeah, it's available for purchase. There are devotees. In fact, somebody recently ordered some 50 copies or 100 copies. It was very, very useful for thorough study and analysis and for training also.
How many pages is it, Prabhuji?
How many pages? Some 200 pages or something.
Oh, okay.
So, the next, for the next session, we will begin from section 13. Section 13. Let me also note down. Page 52 by 211. All right. Okay, so let's. Any questions? If there are no questions, we'll stop now. We'll resume next week. Okay. Vaiṣṇava ninda.